You're listening to the Life of Lozo podcast.
We are live here, Life of Lozo.
He is the funniest, smartest, sexiest guy I know.
Lozo is now live.
Yo, on this episode, we welcome back Kool Lade and discuss the year 1999 in hip-hop. We nerd out over a custom-painted Stormtrooper helmet by @Zana's art page, and Kool Lade blesses us with his freestyle skills over a Joey Mapes Beat Brigade beat. Thank you to our sponsors, State 2 Studios, The Taylor Shop Inc., 03 Productions, The Beat Brigade, Rhyme Designs Clothing, Ronz World Guitars, The Music Experience, Custom Shirts and more, TheMixMash.com, and, of course, Jack's Nutrition. Let's go.
Yo, Life of Lozo. We are here, State 2 Studios, in Studio A, STS Podcast, Jacksonville, Florida, with a return guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Kool Lade, a.k.a. DJ Cold what?
Sandwich.
Cold Sandwich. Cold Sandwich.
What's up, y'all?
In the building.
Glad to be here.
Nice.
We're happy to have you back, man.
Yeah, good to be here. I had a really great time last time. I know we went long.
Yeah, we went
Me,
deep.
you, and Squiggy. Yeah, we went. We went into the next dimension of hip hop. But it was great. It was a good conversation. I had a great time. You know, I hope the listeners enjoyed it. We definitely talked a lot about '93, and I'm excited about today because we're fast forwarding, moving around the board.
That's right. We're just jumping all around because I don't give a shit, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't.
But I'll tell you what, though. Here, I'll be full transparency, okay? So there was something that happened that gave me inspiration for '99.
Okay.
And I have a friend, shouts to Michelle,
Okay.
in California, and her daughter, who is an artist.
Oh, very cool.
Who did something for her father, who's also a DJ out in California that I also know.
Very dope.
And it was kind of a cool concept, and I saw a picture of it, and I immediately DM'd Michelle, slid in them DMs, and I was like, yo. Holler at your boy, what's going on with this thing, and I need one if she does more. And she's like, well, I don't know, let's ask her. So sure enough,
She did more.
she did more for me, and she did one. And what it is, and I'm going to show you for the first time.
Okay.
You may have seen it on social media,
All right.
but in real life, it's crazy. It's a Stormtrooper helmet
Oh my gosh!
that
Look
she
at that.
hand paints.
Oh, that's
and,
so
no,
ill.
it has not even seen the oxygen of the air yet, so I'm going to let you take it out, because I know, like, this is,
Oh
like,
my lord,
she
bro!
hand
Look at this
painted
thing.
all the album covers.
Oh my gosh, bro! I'm nerding out right now.
I thought you
I'm
would.
stupid nerding out right now.
Give me a look see at that, man.
Oh my gosh! Look, oh my gosh! So,
So-
here's something crazy. Pharoah Monch is actually my favorite MC. Like in my top 5 for life, and it's every album.
So-
you gotta loop it.
So I don't know if she'll do more of these, because this
Oh
is
my
quite
gosh,
a piece.
bro.
But Zana's art page, she's on Instagram at ZAYNAS art page.
You know, we got to give a shout out to Squiggy, man, because I
Instagram.
see this little Wu-Tang symbol on the side, and I know how much of a fan
He is.
Squiggy is
Very
of
nice.
Wu-Tang.
We always get it.
Let me see.
Yeah, please.
The good news is that the Method Man Redman album is also on there.
Yeah.
Which he is a
He
major
does
fan
like,
of.
he does
Absolutely.
like Redman a
Absolutely.
lot. And Meth, out of anybody, he said he likes.
Painted this, huh?
That's so
That's
dope,
phenomenal.
man. She did a really great job.
Isn't that crazy? And like it's
Gosh.
the album covers, like sound bombing. Like I would have just wanted like one face on the sound bombing album cover, but for, like there's like 20 people on there.
You're a monster, dude. Here.
Isn't that crazy, bro?
That's so crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts.
Okay.
Oh, backwards.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't want to break your
No,
bones.
don't. Yeah, it's all good.
You're like,
just one of
it's
a
just
kind,
a one of a kind,
yeah,
super
yeah.
awesome,
Custom painted
Star Wars
for the podcast.
All right, there we go.
All right, yeah,
There you
it's
go.
perfect, man. But
All
isn't
right,
that crazy?
take this back. Take that back. That's incredible.
We'll put it
bro.
out here for inspiration.
So dope.
But literally,
And she nailed it too, man.
dude, no,
Like,
she.
you got to
nailed
got to
it.
get some good shots of this for your social media, man, because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
nailed it. All these album covers are exactly on point.
Yeah, she posted the photos of them, and I reposted the photos that she took. But like, I want to take like legit like like it's unbelievable. I didn't realize like how many album covers had like faces and multiple faces on them, but she like killed every one of them.
So I actually have a Stormtrooper helmet in my trunk, man. Like
Yeah,
I'm a
see?
super Star Wars
I
nerd.
know. That's
Yeah.
why I was like, dude.
Nerd.
When I got it, I was like, number one, the next episode we're doing is 99. Number two, I got to call Kool Lade because he's got to see this damn thing.
It's so dope, man. Leave this to me in your will.
So anyway, so
Put it
Zana's
to my
art
estate.
page
It's
on
so
Instagram at ZAYNASARTPAGE. Check her out. Follow her.
Wow.
She has amazing other types of art that she's got on there. But she's a design major. She's got a tribe thing that she did. I'll just show you real quick on her Instagram. Like she does stuff like this.
Oh, that's really dope.
You know what I'm saying?
And she's into hip hop because you said her
Dude,
pops is a DJ.
Of course, man.
That's
you know how
so
it is,
dope.
right?
That's so dope.
So anyway, so I just want to nerd out a little
Look
bit.
at you networking out there in the universe. The pay it forward method works, man.
Hey, man, that's how it
because
goes
that's
sometimes.
stupid hip hop.
Dude, is that like it's going in a display case, right?
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So we just could like hip hop over hip hop over hip hop and art, and then so what does Kool Lade show up with tonight?
yeah, piece of
A
art.
gift,
Yeah.
a piece of art,
Yeah.
right?
Pay it forward.
By guess who? By guess who?
Kyle
man.
Willis.
Kyle Willis.
Yeah, it's on
Kyle gets mentioned in every single podcast.
He sure does. When's he?
When's he coming?
I need to meet that guy.
We're gonna meet him. I found the angle. This is what I figured out, and Kyle will tell you this is the truth. He has ducked me from doing a podcast since I've met him. He's like, I don't do them. I'm not good at them. I don't like to talk about stuff.
Uh-huh.
Then he heard the 80s episode.
Okay.
Then he lost his mind. He goes, why the hell didn't you tell me you're doing an 80s podcast? I'm like,
He
because
would've come
I
through
just
for
made it
that.
up, right?
Right,
I was like, I will do a second one if it's you. If I get a chance to talk to you on the podcast, I will do a second 80s episode. So look forward to that. It will go down. But
Don't let him fool you. He's actually
man.
really good on camera and
course he
on a
is.
microphone.
Yeah.
I interviewed him for Hip Hop and Hookah a couple years back.
Yeah.
And check it out, hiphopandhookah.com. I think Mass still has some of those up there. Shout out to Mass Appeal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kyle's great, man. And he's always doing really great stuff. In addition to being an amazing artist, and obviously that's his work,
Yep.
he does a lot for the community as well. And he's done a lot of charity work. And I mean, he's just a stand-up dude.
Absolutely.
I mean, and again, that's why for all stakes and purposes here, that's why this thing is sitting here, right?
Yeah,
That's why the Stormtrooper, because you pay it forward and you're a good dude, and really that's what hip hop is about. And Kyle's done a lot of hip hop stuff as well, and I know he's been working with you on the covers for the books.
Are you waiting for that, huh? You waiting for that too?
I know it's in there somewhere. I know it is. I'm ready. Like Mos Def is staring at me. Yasin Bey is staring at me.
Yeah, right in your face. dude.
Right in my face, which that's an amazing album. I know we're going to talk about it, so I'll let you.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow, it's so dope.
Well, let's get right into it then.
Let's do it.
We're talking 99. So the crazy thing about 99 that I didn't realize, so I started doing a little bit of research here, is there's a date in hip hop that I think is now going to be, from our show here, one of the most historic dates when it comes to releases.
Okay.
And that's going to be February 23rd of 1999.
Okay.
3 major albums that I feel are major for all different reasons, all
Okay.
dropped in the same day.
Wow.
So the first one we're going to talk about is The Roots, Things Fall Apart.
Oh yeah.
So which is also referred to as When Things Fall Apart, and it was their 4th studio album.
Incredible.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I just know personally, You Got Me,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right? The reason why that song, A, is super chill and cool, but B, it starts off with a snare hit
Right.
on the 4th beat.
Right.
So when you're a DJ, Don, and you're scratching, you doing mixes and stuff,
Right.
there's nothing cooler than dropping the 4th beat of a song
Right.
to get into the first beat of when it drops, because you kind of get to just, and then you get a snap, and then the
and
beat
it's
drops.
right there. It's right
So
there,
just,
isn't it?
that's right. I'm going to DJ
It
nerd
makes
out.
you look amazing.
Yes,
Yeah, but you really didn't do a ton of.
Yeah, you hear a snap, and then there's silence, and then the
true.
beat drops. So I'm just this album always makes me think of that. I remember that in nightclubs.
So this is so strange, and it speaks to how important these things are. Literally last night, I'm talking to a friend of mine who used to run a recording studio with me. Shout out to Mike McConaughey and the Black Hive down in Nocatee. He's actually doing some CrossFit stuff down there. But this guy and I owned a studio together, and we were talking about that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You got me," and he goes, "Bro, I used to love that because at the end it goes into this fast, and it's
Yes.
almost like drum and bass,
Like double time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
double
yeah.
time." And
Yep.
Quest is just Questlove is killing it.
Yep.
And my homie used to go by Quest One, so he was DJ
Ah,
Quest One.
yeah.
But he would play down tempo stuff, and he would DJ house, and he could always blend from that.
Yes.
He would go from hip hop into the drum and bass set, and like
Yes.
LTJ Bookham and all this stuff.
Yes.
But the other thing that's dope that a lot of people sleep on is that's Eve. Who's actually spitting there because she's from Philly. A lot of people thought that it was Erykah Badu, and Jill Scott
actually wrote it.
that.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard Jill Scott do it, like a
Yeah.
live rendition, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Not anything
Well,
wrong with Erica's version.
Didn't she end up touring with them?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
And then doing that song
Yeah,
live? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I hear about Philly is they actually used to have like the collective and like all of those folks, you know, from Eve to the Roots, and like everybody would come into that area. Jill Scott and
Yep.
like that whole movement. Common
Yeah.
would come up there, and
Absolutely.
of course from Chi-Town, but. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
that it's funny because every time I come or I speak to you about hip hop stuff, it's like one of the parts of the dialogue I just had it. And this album's from '99, so to put that in perspective, like we were literally just talking about it and how at the end, I mean, it's just crazy. Make sure you play that for your people, man. 'cause
Yeah.
That's,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
I know it's on
yeah.
the mix.
No, it's definitely going to go on the mix for sure. And I think too, like, it's just an interesting, like, man, because you're 1,000% right. Like I remember so specifically, like especially when you're DJing nightclubs, right? You have to have these segue songs. Like you have these songs that
absolutely
will lead you from the bar just opened, people are showing up for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, which in the DJ culture, like that's when you bring in your boy or the up and comer or somebody that's just learning how to DJ. You let them just play some music. It's chill. Nobody's hanging out. Then you start to pick up the pace a little bit, right? Then you start to get a little bit more like kind of like the nightclub vibe hip hop, and then you have to start picking up even the speed of that. And now coming from Detroit, that meant you had to go from like sometimes like MC Breed or like No Future in your frontin' to like jit 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 jit. So you literally had to hit the hip hop track and hit 45 on the 1200, right? It was like double the speed up, and everybody didn't care. Right.
Yeah,
but that was the beautiful thing about that song. Because it did it for you automatically.
Every time.
And then instead of having to play the double, you could play it at a faster RPM.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah.
Just so good.
So good.
And Black Thought, and I see this a lot on the internet these days, Black Thought is actually looked at as, at least in my book, definitely a top 10 MC. You know, these guys went from being the roots from Philly. You know, they're just incredible live. I've seen them. I've seen them 3 times now, and every time it's just an amazing show. But for them to now be on the Tonight Show, it shows how much hip hop has had an opportunity to transcend and move beyond boundaries. Because for my money, Tariq Black Thought is probably top 5. I mean, he's just so good. Voice, cadence, what he's talking about, how he delivers it, and then for him to be able to have fun like he does on the Tonight Show, I just think that speaks leaps and bounds. You know, because these guys, especially from this album, I mean, they delivered it. And everybody listened. Everybody listened to that song because, again, DJs were able to use that as a segue song. Plus, it's just dope.
Plus, I think in '99, as we go through a lot of these albums, you had this element where kind of hip hop, like, for sake of a better term, like the roots of hip hop, right? It was really starting to branch out in different subgenres, but we weren't trying to define them as subgenres.
No.
It was just kind of like, oh yeah, like there's the roots. Then there's then there's the Midwest movement. Then there's still the East Coast movement. Then there's the West Coast. It was still like on that cusp of where you could still define based on where the area. It was about the area. And not the genre. And so, I just remember what a great album, a great feel-good album. The musicality was amazing.
You bet.
And and, I mean, it got tons of play on MTV, which is nice.
Which is great, right?
Yeah.
And they had great videos too. So you know, to their respect, you know, working on a budget because they were on OK Player,
right.
You know, I mean, granted, an amazing record label itself, but you know, the budgets couldn't have been that incredible. No. So for them to create what they created inside of that, but again, speaks leaps and bounds to where they are today.
Absolutely.
Because that's how you get to the Tonight Show. You know, you take those risks. And I remember when Jimmy Fallon was first starting his Late Late Show, people thought that was going to be a failure. And when they announced the Roots as the band, I was like, yo. All right. Like Jimmy Fallon was funny on SNL, and he would always, you know, he's the guy who would always break, you know, in a scene, you know, cowbell scene or any of that stuff. He's the guy who's cracking up, him and Horatio Sands. But I always thought Jimmy was funny. But when I heard the Roots, I was like, that type of comedic chemistry, if done correctly, and they've done it correctly several times, they've got some amazing viral videos.
Absolutely.
You know, check that out. It's definitely hip hop.
Yeah, 100%, man.
1999 though, man. That's 18 years ago.
Dude, I know.
It could go buy me a pack of cigarettes if I still smoked.
Hey, 99.
That album could buy me a pack of smokes and a scratch off.
So true, man. But it's so good, though.
It's so good.
So great. All right. So second album on February 23rd, Prince Paul, A Prince Among Thieves, is also his second studio album. Amazing.
Also came up last night. It just and you know, with 99 being in the back of my head, it probably was happening that way, and I didn't even realize it from a subconscious place. But somebody else actually mentioned this album because we were watching some Sean Price videos. You know, just streaming through YouTube, and you know, R.I.P. Rest in power, Sean Price, one of the most amazing. Shout out to all of Boot Camp and Duck Down and all those guys. And definitely rest in power. But we were listening to those and we were thinking about concepts. And this album conceptually could be a movie.
Well, that was the whole point.
That was the point, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like a rock opera.
Right. Yeah. And when you look at the success this last year in things like Hamilton, where now hip hop is in hip hop, you know what I mean? Like mainstream and like the art of hip hop, and you know, them putting that play together speaks leaps and bounds. And I hope that people are seeing that opportunity exists and they continue to try to do things that even transcend that.
Absolutely.
Because I think that this, I mean, if they put this out now, even in animated form,
right,
you know what I mean? Like if you know, shout out to Cartoon Network and all those folks who do stuff like that, because they have a tie to hip hop.
Well, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, like Prince Paul pitched this and wanted to do this because I think he was watching like one of the Master P movies or videos, something like that.
And he was and they were doing it.
Yeah, and he was like, that's so like it's a cool concept, but it was so badly produced. Like, I can do that for real.
Right, let's
and
do
pitched it.
Right,
and then nobody would take it.
Nobody would take it
because it was just too far out there.
It's
and then he put it out anyway.
They do it now.
If
this came out this year, and come on,
man. And then you take on the fact that you've got. These are the cameos.
Right.
You ready for this?
Oh, it's nuts.
Cool Keith, Big Daddy Kane, Chubb Rock, Biz Markie, De La Soul, Everlast, Sadat X, Exhibit, Kid Kroll, Special Ed, Chris Rock, RZA, and Buckshot.
Come on. Get out of here. Like, you know what? Today, that sounds like a feature list for like one song.
Yeah, right.
You know?
It's like what's
so
old
true.
dude from I can't think of his name right now. We the best.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled, right? It sounds like a DJ Khaled.
It's like DJ Khaled
single.
featuring, and you go down that whole litany list of MCs, and then it's Justin Bieber on the hook.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And they all spit at 8.
Bar. They all spit. They all spit like 4. They get 4, but they're right on top of each other.
Yeah.
They all get a check, so hey, cash it in. I'm joking, of course. It's for fun, but but a lot of hip hop. At least for that album was so different because of how he did that.
Yeah.
And with the idea in his head of pitching it that way, it just comes off that way. It is a true story. And anybody who likes storytelling, if you have not listened to this album, go back and listen to it. And, you know, every time we talk about this or every time I listen to the show and you're talking about hip hop, I go back and I do that.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
This one's definitely special, man. Like start to finish. It is a true opera.
Yep.
And you know, somebody out there, somebody's got some ducats.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. The only one that I thought that and it didn't even really get commercial success. I have to look at the numbers on it, but Sporty Thieves.
Yeah.
When they dropped like Street Cinema.
Yeah. Did that one get a little bit of play?
It got a little bit of play, but mostly because like they were doing the whole like no scrubs, no pigeons, like that whole thing was going down. But I just remember conceptually the fact that it was like this story of going to the movie theater and wanting to sneak into different movies.
Yeah.
Every movie was a theme.
Because nobody
song.
ever did that.
Right, exactly. But it was just like the whole thing was complete, and that was that. Not from a hip hop standpoint, storytelling standpoint, I thought it was awesome, but not even close to what kind of Prince Paul did.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
for
I'm
sure.
I'm a huge Prince Paul fan from
amazing, right?
He's done, man.
Yeah,
so that's awesome. Okay,
yeah.
All right, cool. So third album,
okay, same day.
So think about this.
This
Go back
was an
to
expensive
1999.
Tuesday,
right?
Yeah.
I remember you told the story, of
Wu-Tang.
your mom, but you buy two at the same day, right?
Yeah.
So fortunately, this was 6 years later, so it's probably your own money.
It was my money.
Right?
Yeah, it was my own money.
But I know for a fact, that I bought all 3 of these on vinyl.
Yeah.
On vinyl. I know this for a fact.
I know I had Prince of Thieves because I remember seeing it in my crate all the time.
Well, I just remember the cover was so dope.
So dope. Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you want to see it, it's right here on this helmet. I don't know if you're familiar with this artwork, but it's on the back of the helmet here. You can look at it later.
Yeah, we'll check it out later.
In your case, in your rotating
my rotating case with lights on it, and lasers and shit. I have sharks with lasers on their head to protect it.
To protect it.
Lasers, right?
Lasers.
All right, third album, Eminem Slim Shady LP.
Yeah, so
same day.
Yeah, everybody knows what Eminem has done for hip hop, and certainly, you know, in respect to that. Before this, now listen, there's a lot of dope MCs who are Caucasian, but I mean, that's the 500-pound white gorilla in the room, right?
Yep.
So this album is released. It's produced by a Dr. Dre who had come off what some would consider a few failures with The Firm and, you know, his switch from West Coast to starting Aftermath. And here comes this kid who we had heard because a lot of us as heads were listening to Ruckus records.
Absolutely.
And he had done some features. He was on, you know, later on he was on Soundbombing 2, but that was recorded earlier.
Wait, he was running with Pace One.
Right.
He was running with the Outsiders.
Right.
People that were in the know were in the know.
Knew. And you're from Detroit.
So let me tell you. So
do you got an Eminem story?
Maybe a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe. If you check my Instagram, you may see a picture of. The
you and M rocking it.
I the first time I met him though, he was a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And he had dark hair.
Yep.
And he was doing shows in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And it was a guy named Mohammed who was a college rep, and we were college reps for Def Jam and for Rough House, right?
Okay.
So when you were a college rep, basically all that meant was that you get to have these cool little business cards and say shit like you were a college rep
for a record label.
And all that meant was that they would give you free vinyl.
Right.
And all they would ask you to do is like go out there and pump these records, because at the time College Music Journal was a big deal, and that's how you would push out independent hip hop artists.
Yeah.
And so Mo was for Atlantic, and he was at University of Michigan, and so he would always say like, you guys got to come down. We go to the Blind Pig. There was these different clubs we'd go to. Come watch these hip hop shows. It was crazy, right?
It's nuts.
And then he was like, yo, we got Eminem. right? And we're just like at the time. This is 97, 90,
yeah,
like
Rap
96,
Olympics
97,
time, right? Yeah.
right. Because the reason why is because we got. I have it.
Right.
And you'll never see it in Oxygen. I have
In a
right?
vacuum sealed vault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. I have a copy of Infinite.
Oh, okay.
Of
No
of the,
shit.
one of the 500 that Eminem pressed.
Wow.
Because we got it from Mo.
Yeah.
At a show.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Eminem
yeah.
Before
Yeah,
any
yeah.
of this shit happened.
Yeah. And a few of those songs end up on this album.
Of course
right?
they did. Right. Yeah. A couple remixes. They had to clear a couple of
they had to clean it
samples.
up. Sure.
But yeah. So that happened, and that was like 96, 97 or so. But I just remember like he was that guy. He was the guy that would come out and everybody was like, yo, like come on now. But he was putting his dues in 8 Mile
sure.
in
Yeah,
Detroit.
for sure.
And he would just slaughter shows. And
He
lyrically
could
nobody
spit.
could touch
There's
him.
no doubt about
Nobody
it.
could
The
touch
guy
him.
is amazing. He's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I feel bad he went through a real serious batch of what I would call downer music because, you know, it was fun, it was campy, but
Yeah.
when you get past, this album was amazing.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
second
yeah.
album was absolutely
Yeah.
amazing, so was the third, but then you see his sobriety failing,
Yeah.
and he's going through this batch where he's just, you can just tell. I mean,
Yep.
even with the slur and some of the ways he was rapping, he was going sing-songy, but then he comes back,
Yeah.
you know, and they're working again now.
Yep.
And for my money, and people still shit on this a little bit. They're like, you know, that was years ago, but he can't hang now. I was like, listen, write a diss track about the dude.
Try.
If you have any voice in hip hop beyond, you know,
Yeah.
1 dB, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you got one green light popping on your fucking microphone, try it.
Right.
Because he's gonna roast you.
Yeah.
The way he forms syllables, the way he plays the game, the way he's consistently writing. I saw an interview, I want to say it was maybe like a Katie Couric or Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
And the kid is still like, he's a multimillionaire and he's still walking around with rhymes on napkins.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
he's still and he's very precise about it. And he's like syllables. You know, you've got to make sure you're changing up the wordplay. And you could see where the drugs were affecting that because he was just pushing out shit to push out shit. And like 1 out of 10 were great.
Right.
Where in this album, like you could listen to the album from start to finish because it was just so different.
Yeah.
It was so different, and it had the element of battle rap from back then that I find to be the best part, which is the punchlines.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, he was just hammering everybody.
Yeah.
And he was relentless.
Yeah.
And anybody who got offended, and many people did, you've got to look at it for what it is, man. Another example where we talked Prince Paul, Prince Among Thieves, where that was a cinematic. This is actually also cinematic.
Absolutely.
Because Slim Shady's a character.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? As gutter as I'm sure Eminem was during those days in 8 Mile, and he was, you know, doing what he was doing.
Yep.
The outlandish shit he's talking about on these records, like
Yeah, well, what was cool about it was that it was like literally because of Infinite,
Right.
and because he was Eminem,
Right.
and because it didn't do what he thought he was gonna do. This became like he was like, forget it, man. I'm just gonna go after everybody.
Everybody.
I'm gonna be this anti-hero.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna go at people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the persona came from with
Absolutely.
Slim Shady.
Yep.
And it hit. And I mean, just the timing and
Timing
everything.
was perfect.
And it's super cool now. We were talking about this last week. Was just now with Defiant Ones.
Right.
Right, and,
Right.
and just being
Seeing
able to
that,
see us,
yeah,
like
yeah.
and that because that shit was real, and I remember,
Absolutely.
I remember it clear as day.
Yeah.
That like I remember walking into, shit was it? Oh man, it wasn't Damon's Records. It might have been Damon's Records. Where did that? No, man, I can't. It wasn't Fat Beats. Where the hell was I?
It was a record shop in the D.
It was a record shop. I got to think.
And it was literally like overnight he went from being Eminem underground sensation to oh shit, this guy signed with Dre. Probably.
Yeah, it went from they had the Slim Shady EP.
Right.
Right. So he released
I remember
Infinite.
the ad in the Source.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, a little ad in the Source.
So he had
Yeah.
he had Infinite come out. Then he had the Slim Shady EP that came
Right,
out.
right.
And that literally was on the walls of the record store one day.
Boom.
And we bought it. And I can't
Right.
remember who I was with, but we each bought a copy. And we took. It might have been Sean Mikes.
Yeah.
But we each bought a copy of it. And the next day they pulled all of them.
Gone.
Off the shelves
'Cause of the
because he had
controversy.
signed because of the controversy. No, he got
Oh,
signed
he
with
got
Dre.
signed.
And
Gone.
gone. An EP turned into
Wow,
LP that
right.
ended up releasing 6 months later.
Right.
But literally, like
overnight.
gone.
That's crazy.
If you bought it yesterday, you're good.
You're good. Today,
can't find it.
Good luck.
It's gone. Right.
Good
Like
luck.
literally.
And this isn't an MP3 time, right?
No.
Like
No.
infancy of that type of shit.
Yeah.
If even I don't even
Yep.
know what year, but
No.
Yeah, you couldn't just all of a sudden have that. So if you
Yeah.
had
It was like 98,
you had
97,
Infinite
98, yeah.
and you had the EP. Look
both.
at you.
Both, man.
You're like you're
Both.
the you're
They had the original beats for what's Just the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what
On
I'm
there?
saying. There was
Oh,
right. So
wow.
like that was
So
what the
that's
EP
dope.
had.
So that's dope though, because then you can go and you can actually see what what differences Dre made,
Absolutely.
and they're significant ones.
significant.
And then you got to also take into consideration. We talked about MTV when we were talking about the roots. MTV, because Eminem, and listen, we got to talk the truth again. This 500-pound white gorilla standing in the room.
Yep.
This kid was approachable,
Yep.
and for mainstream audiences, for crossover, M's intention was to be a great MC. I'm sure.
Yep.
He never. I could bet you every dollar in my bank account, which is nowhere near his bank account for sure, right? But I bet you every dollar. I don't think he thought that day he met Dre that he would be the Eminem he is today.
No.
Right? And
Yeah.
certainly, millions and millions and millions of records. I mean, he's got 2 diamond records, if I'm not mistaken. So that's insane, right?
Yeah.
So to go from independent success and then to go to that is just bananas. Nobody saw that. But MTV, because he was safe and approachable, that wasn't his idea. He just
Right.
was. And My Name is a great song, and it was busting the chops of everybody.
Everybody.
And he was
Yeah.
taking shots at fun people.
Yep.
And then, Everlast got caught in the mix.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And there's a tie to Jacksonville for that. So Limp Bizkit from Jacksonville, of course.
Yep.
Limp Bizkit was caught in that shit,
Yep,
right?
yep.
He roasted Fred,
Yep.
right? And you just see that whole motion happening, and it was a show. Because even at award shows, like they were doing funny shit and so on and so forth. But for me, this album came out at a good time. I was still DJing at the time, and people liked it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of club tracks on there. This is a straight spitting album. But people, you put that on and people would still be bobbing their heads. It was a good song. If you were in a mix, you could actually get into something like My Name Is, and people would listen to it. They'd be bobbing their heads, but they'd go to the bar.
Exactly.
And
Right,
you've got to
right.
have that cycle, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to keep your fucking hip hop night,
Yeah.
make sure that they're making at least a few dollars at the door,
Right,
Right,
yep,
and
yep.
a few dollars on drinks,
Yep.
or else they'll go, so we're gonna move to disco on
Exactly.
Wednesday, and we're gonna move hip hop to Sunday in the basement. I didn't even know you had a fucking basement. We don't.
We don't,
It was nice knowing you, DJ No Bucks.
It's been real.
Yeah, it's been real bounce. Yeah, so you could probably DJ down the street. But so make sure you understand that part of the game. But yeah, great album. All 3 came out on the same day. That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
I'm pretty sure I gotta say I probably bought them all.
Yeah.
Because I was DJing at the time, and I'd go to Music and Memories, which isn't there anymore. It's down on Beach Boulevard, and I just grab everything that came out that day.
Yeah.
And I actually had an old Manarance, I think it was called. It was a company, Manarance. They made the
Marantz.
Marantz, that's
Yep,
what it
yep,
was.
yep.
Yeah, Marantz.
I had one of the
I had a
tape
CD
decks.
I had a
Yeah.
tape deck, but I had
And
a
the
CD
player.
burner.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first CD burners, so I was actually able to transfer that so I could play it on CD as well,
Yep.
Which was good for cars. And by the way, for those of you listening under the age of 30, a CD is a metal disc that you used to put into this little but it's kind of true.
It's kind of true, though.
Yeah, it's
Kinda
kind of true.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, next album up on April 20th, this would be MF Doom, Operation Doomsday.
Doom.
Debut solo album.
So Doom's incredible, and the fact that I've never seen the man's real face is always, so
Yeah.
interesting for me. He could be anybody.
He could
I
literally
may
be
have
anybody.
been on a train with him.
Right,
you know what
right.
I'm saying?
You never know.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
been sitting next to him on an airplane
Yeah,
flying
yeah.
to Albuquerque, and I don't know that's MF
Yeah.
Doom.
Well, they had. I mean, there's some pics of him
There
with like
is.
KMD.
Yeah.
But it was still like too long ago,
That was
right?
it was 18 years ago. So whilst it could buy me a pack of cigarettes,
Right,
it's
right,
not
right.
helping my vision. So,
Exactly.
So Doom's great, man. So I saw something on social media, and I wish I could source it because I forget where it came from, but it was talking about the complexity of rap, right?
Lyrical patterns.
Lyrical patterns,
Yep,
right? Did
yep,
you see
yep.
the
I
same
saw
thing?
I watched the whole
And
damn
it
thing.
showed, and,
Yeah.
and for me, while I heard it, I never visualized it.
Right.
And when you see how complicated his rap scheme is, because it sounds like his cadence is a little bit off, right?
Right,
So like the way he raps, it's a slower, and it's like layered on top of itself. And I'm sure that was great in the studio working on that stuff. But when you hear it, you're like, dope, this is dope, and then you go back and you see that on that context, and you're like, holy shit, because they showed other rhyme patterns,
Right, right.
and Eddie cadence. I'm impressed with Eddie cadence, especially those that are a little obscure. And I know we're going to talk Pharoah Monch in a minute, who for me syllabalistically, and I just made up a word, motherfucker, syllabalistically.
Spell that.
Yeah. The password is
Is there another?
syllabalistic.
Can I have another pronunciation, please?
Yeah.
What's the language of origin?
Yeah, the language of origin, hip hop. Hashtag hip hop. Bars. That's what.
Bars.
Yeah, so I mean, just playing with syllables. Doom is that guy, and even beyond this album, as you go down the list and you see even his progression. He's just out there.
Yeah.
You know, but I bet for as out there as his music is, he's probably just a normal straight up cat.
Sure.
Who just grew up listening and creating hip hop and
Absolutely.
and found this niche. You know, you talked about a feature that was on Prince Among Thieves, Kool Keith. I had the opportunity. Shout out to FFJB and my man Tough Junkie. We actually took Kool Keith to the airport when he did a show here. We picked him up and brought him to the airport, and we get to the exit for JIA, and Keith turns to me and goes, "Hey man, you want to get some chicken and waffles?" Swear to God, it's the funniest shit ever. And my brain goes, it's like 3 boxes, A, B, and C.
Yeah.
A, yes, I will get chicken and waffles with Kool Keith.
Yeah.
Ding, it just goes off. The other 3 are fucking ridiculous. Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, check answer A is B. Did you not hear me? Check answer A, motherfucker. Kool Keith wants to have breakfast. So we did. We had breakfast. And Keith, although he's a strange dude, just a human being, man.
Right.
Like, he's just a dude. And he's bizarre. Like, when you talk bizarre, I called him, and I think he should create a new rap name. Bizarro Montalban. I think that would be great, you know.
Bizarro
The plane.
Yes.
Bizarro Montalban. Maybe I'll take that. I'll turn one of those old guys I know into a rapper. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a good time. We'll have to bring him in here sometime.
Hell
My
yeah.
buddy, he's a good guy. I'll tell you about him.
Bring him.
Yeah, he's 80 years old. He loves hip hop.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
you'll love
it.
him.
We got more episodes to do, so
Okay.
hey, well,
I'll let
I'm
you
down,
know.
man.
All right.
But yeah, no, I would agree. Like, I think MF Doom just it was cool to see that on social media, because for those that are in the game, everybody knows like
Right.
how dope he is.
Yeah.
And how crazy he writes, and just if you got to be into it. Like you're not gonna listen to the song and be like it's not like chill music.
No.
It's not like Camp Lo.
No.
Like
No.
Lucchini. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's cool. I can rap along.
Right.
It's nice. It's for real. And he
it's
writes for real.
it's like a science project inside of hip hop, you know.
Yeah.
But see, like for me, visually seeing it, because my brain had always calculated it that way and heard it that way, and realized how interesting it was, how he was doing that.
Yeah.
But seeing the breakdown,
Yeah.
and like they did like the whole color scheme, and they showed, and it was like this one going to this one to this one, and it was
Yeah.
like it was just crazy.
Well, I love how it started off with. I think it started off with like Rakim as well.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
I'm
right,
like,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the core.
Absolutely.
Because you know Eminem talks about it. Like all
Yeah,
the lyricists
for sure.
talk about taking that
talk about
pattern of rhyming syllables.
Yep.
Not just the words. So.
And Rakim was the guy. He was
Yep.
way ahead of his time with that. Absolutely brilliant. You know, when you think about that and you think about M and Rakim, you know, another guy who actually I feel sounded much like Rakim, and a lot of people say this is Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know, Will Smith actually being from Philly, also a
Yeah.
guy from Philly.
Yep.
And that was very approachable hip hop. I think that was probably the most approachable hip hop coming out like 87, 88. I remember, I think I was in 4th grade listening to Parents Just Don't Understand. But hearing that, and those were funky as shit. And if you're sleeping on Jazzy Jeff, stop sleeping. Uncle Phil could try to throw him out of my house. I'm going to catch him, throw him back in my house, and put him in front of some fucking turntables. Because he's a beast.
No, he's for real.
Production, DJ, and the whole gambit.
Yeah.
And I think they may even be doing, I saw on social media, and you know, you see this fake stuff, but I hope they do it like a little Fresh Prince reunion.
Yeah, a little reunion
That'd be
tour.
fun,
Yeah.
man. I actually saw Jazzy Jeff when I was with Squiggy out in Nam.
Yeah.
And we were in Anaheim, and he had like a crew with him. Like you could tell how important to hip hop this guy still is, because like there was a ton of hip hop cats with him, and definitely paying respect. So, but you know, full circle to MF Doom. Locally, Willie Evans Jr. and I've told him this. He has a very similar cadence and a very similar approach to hip hop. And if you have not, please go and listen to my homeboy Willie Evans Jr. Shout out to Asimov from back in the day, and listen to stuff like Stono Echo, my man Dylan, the Full Plate Family. Oh, let me say that again. Full Plate Family. I just went syllabalistic for a minute up in this motherfucker. So Doom is definitely amazing. You know, and Danger Doom.
Yeah.
We were talking before about Cartoon Planet showing just our Cartoon Network showing how close they are to hip hop. That album is pretty much a collaboration between a Cartoon Network and a hip hop cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's absolutely fucking amazing too.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's got a feature by my man CeeLo Green. You know, and it's a funky one too. That Benzo box is just it's crazy. So, anyways, back to the list. There's already we're only in April.
Yeah.
And we've already got 4 dope albums.
4.
What are you gonna hit me with next?
May 18th, Raucus presents
Sound Bombing 2. Yeah. So start to finish, just an amazing. So for me, I was listening to hip hop since I was a kid, but I really started like buying vinyl, buying records, and paying closer attention to lyricism and things like that. Before it was just that beat drew my soul in, right?
Right.
But from a standpoint of actually listening to what was being said and hearing concepts and different rhyme schemes, it was around this time the Ruckus, Sound Bombing 1, Lyricist Lounge, those type of things. We'll talk about Mos Def in a minute, but the Black Star album,
Company Flow, High and
Company
Mighty.
Flow, yeah. So even today, people who are listening to things like Run the Jewels,
Right.
and while Killer Mike and LP are killing it, they've been killing it forever.
I just had a conversation with a guy. He was wearing a Run the Jewels T-shirt.
Right.
I'm like, what you know about Run the Jewels? He's
Right,
like,
right,
man, I
right.
just saw them the other day. Man, they're really dope. I was like, no, but what do you
What
really
do you really know? Right, right.
Yeah, I was like, well, what do you mean? I'm like,
where do they come from?
What do you know about LP?
Yeah, right.
He's like, I was like, what do you know about CoFlow?
Right.
He's like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Funk Crusher Plus?
Yeah,
What do you know-
right.
No.
What do you know about Cannibal Ox?
Cannibal Ox, right.
C-Ray's Walls. Like all these guys like that were doing this stuff. I mean, and a lot of kids, like indie kids, were listening to things like Aesop Rock. But there is no lane for that without a guy like LP.
Exactly.
So and that stuff came out like this whole slew of dope indie shit. You had an unbelievable, and really unfortunately, we're going to talk Pharoah Monch.
Yeah.
Like that actually hit a brick wall because of sample clearance
Right.
with Godzilla and Simon Says,
Absolutely.
and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But all of that was coming out at the same time, and you still had the light sprinklings of things that was at least somewhat respected by the industry, with the Roots, where they're on the fringe of that. They're still on MTV. They're in rotation. Eminem cracks the surface, and for me, Ruckus allowed an opportunity, love it or hate it, and I love it because I think he's one of the best producers, for Kanye West.
Yeah.
Because Kanye was producing on Ruckus. One of my favorite beats on a Talib album is Gorilla Monsoon Rap.
Right.
Kanye produced that. And that's
Right.
got Black Thought, and it's got,
Yeah.
Talib and all these guys. But coming around this time, Sound Bombing, I mean, go down the list. Do we got a list of tracks?
I got to listen to I got a list of artists.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
I
let's
tracks
do
artists because I was about to go down the like producers.
Yeah, go there. Go that route first.
Okay,
Boy,
so
yeah.
for me, because producers was really the biggest thing for this. When you talk about the beat junkies, the beat miners, DJ Mighty My, right? Lee Stone, Kid Capri, let me see here, Pete Rock, Marley Marl, High Tech, Evidence, Thurston Howell III, LP, Diamond D. I mean, are you kidding me? And
Crazy,
then,
right?
then you take that list of producers. Then you slide over and say, okay, now we're going to take Mos Def and Mad Skills from B-Boy Document 99.
Oh, come on.
My God. Dude.
That's another one I could break into almost anywhere.
Yeah, exactly,
You just
anywhere.
stop the record.
Yeah.
And
they just know.
It was just
Yep.
nuts. Yeah,
Pharaoh,
and B-Boys would go nuts on that.
Exactly. Pharaoh, Raw the Rugged Man, J Live, Prince Paul, Medina Green, Sadat X, Grand Poobah, Reflection Eternal with Bahamidia.
Yep.
Right. Tosh and Dilated Peoples, Thurston Howell with their Spit Boxes. That's always one of my favorite songs.
So dope.
It was Brooklyn Hard Rock was dope though because of that sample.
Yeah.
With the girl with the English accent. That was
So
sick.
dope.
Company Flow.
Yep.
Common. I mean, it's just like Cocoa Brothers are on here. It's just
It's
madness.
amazing. Yeah,
It's absolute madness.
It's bonkers.
It's madness.
It is absolutely bonkers. I had all of those albums. Like I said, it was like for me once I heard the sound that was coming out of Ruckus Records, I was like, this is stuff that speaks to me. So I just I kept it in rotation. And again, to your point, when you're DJing at a nightclub, you have to play all sides of the field, right? So you have to play, the start of the night stuff. And I could get away with a lot of the B-sides on this stuff, start a night, just to keep that vibe.
Yep.
And then you would move your way up. But there were bangers.
Yeah.
There were bangers throughout the Ruckus family. Black Star had, Redemption and what was the other one on there? Oh, I'm losing track. It had a couple bangers.
Yeah.
And then you look at a record like this, I mean, I could play these jams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Absolutely play these. And then when you moved even up into that middle time where you're trying to get ladies to dance,
Yep.
you could still throw in a Simon Says by Pharoah Monch.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because that actually got people, because of the energy of that. Bam, bam,
Right.
bam, bam.
Well, and then on top of that, just the beats per minute on it.
Right.
And what else you could throw on top of that?
Exactly.
And give it a little bit of smooth feel to it.
Right.
So, yeah.
You could mellow it out for him. Yeah.
Yep.
This whole time for me is really dope, man. Like I said, if I didn't own all the albums, I'm pretty sure I owned 9 out of the 10.
Yeah.
Well,
like Common 1999
Right.
is a great example
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah.
like
It was-
that type of song.
Yeah. With Sadat
Right.
X.
Yep.
Oh my God, he's got one of the most interesting voices in hip hop for me. I'm not even gonna try and emulate it. I've done it before, but I'm not gonna do it on your podcast. I don't want to
My
embarrass
favorite
myself.
line from him is like he goes, "People always think that I'm high, And then, God, I can't remember what the second part of that is. Where he was like, people always think that I'm high. But that should be my lazy eye, right?
I love
I
it.
can't remember what the God. It's killing me right
And
now.
the 199.
Yeah. The
And again,
Nexus,
people thought
man.
the world was coming to an end. We said it before we started the podcast. You got for those of you that were at least somewhat adult-like in 1999, 18 years ago, we thought Y2K was going to wipe out all computers. You know, the only one that was happy about that at the time was Lars Ulrich from Metallica because Napster was pissing him off.
Nice.
But I remember like he was the guy they put out there.
Oh man,
and I don't even think he knew what he was getting into like when he started that.
No, he had no idea.
But you look at the way music is shared now, and you know a lot of independent artists. You look at a guy like these guys that are coming up now that are indie artists, you know, and a lot of them are just using this method. I heard from a friend of mine who lives in LA, like there's a hip hop crew out there that is selling out shows and they're just giving away their music. And they're relying on the merchandise factor and doing cool things with merchandise, whether it's you know NFC codes or microchips or virtual reality, whatever the next thing is, they're trying to incorporate that into their music. You know, and the music industry is different now. In '99, like there were certain ways you had to get music. You still had to go to a store and buy a CD or a record. You might be trading mixtapes with friends, but you know this is probably the start of the digital revolution, if anything. And
well, I can tell you what it was because I remember I went from doing mixtapes in '96, like literally like recording mixtapes and selling them, and I have a couple that I still have from like college, right?
That's awesome.
With like the stickers
Let's
and
digitize
everything,
those
right?
and release one of those.
Right? That's what I should do, man. I got a couple.
100%.
Yeah, I have. I got a couple mixtapes that got digital because I went from mixtapes to it had to have been right there at the 98, 99. I went to minidisc.
Yeah.
And then we were all recording mixtapes on minidisc because you could do some 2-track editing and you could splice some things together. So if you had a record skip or something dropped out,
you could clean it up,
just redo it and then just snip it together.
Perfect.
And put them out. But I recall that, and then I remember one of my friends, and he was like a house and techno DJ. But he was like, we all went to school, but he had his own apartment.
I got you.
You know, like one of those guys.
Yeah, he was
right?
yeah.
And I remember he had a Apple computer and he had a CD burner, but it was real time.
Yeah.
So like when we bring the mixtape,
burned to the time. Oh wow.
Yep. You had to record it all in real time.
All in real time.
And then at the fastest it could go was like 2 times speed.
Wow.
But then sometimes it would kick the disc out.
Right.
So you'd wait the
whole time, and then it would
spit out the edge. Yeah. So we would burn them at real time.
Overwrite error.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. So that we'd have the problem. Yeah.
And you're just so amazed that the technology existed.
Yeah.
Now you could burn a whole CD in like 30 seconds or something crazy.
Well, CD? What? Yeah.
Exactly. What's a CD?
I could airdrop you the entire album.
I actually acquired a Portadat. I had a Portadat player, so DAT tapes, and we would bring those to shows. And I was never shy. If a sound guy was there, I spoke at least, I wasn't fluent in sound guy,
right.
but I spoke enough sound guy to say, hey, man, I got a Portadat. You think I could plug this into your outputs?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, man, wow, Portadat. Let me check that out. They'd look at, and I knew the game. I was like, of course you can look at this Portadat that I acquired.
Exactly.
Notice the word acquired. The password is acquired. I have no idea where it came from. It ended up in a backpack at a festival. I didn't put it there. God is my witness. But yeah, so I would speak sound guy, and I'd be like, let me just plug this to the outs. And I had some of the dopest Portadat tapes that, of course, are lost in the fray. That's the karma of that acquired Portadat.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, people would be like, wow, Portadat.
Portadat. Yeah.
Now you'd hand somebody a Portadat and go, I don't understand.
Yeah, what is this?
What is this? Yeah. How do I export this to Facebook? Right? Exactly. I love it though.
All right, cool. So
Sound bombing, man.
Sound bombing, dude. I whatever. It's so dope.
It's amazing.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna listen to it. 100%.
All right, June 29th.
Yes, sir.
The Jizza, Beneath the Surface.
Yeah, I've been staring at this G Wu-Tang symbol sideways. If you do it this way.
Yeah, up and down. Yeah.
So absolutely fantastic. I know this is definitely in Squiggy's top 1 million hip hop records of all time. Shout out to my man Squiggy and the music experience. For me, this one is a really amazing one. So Shadowboxing with Method Man probably is one of my top 5. I will say this out loud. It's probably one of my top 3 Wu-Tang. Just the energy of the song, the way they both deliver, the energy, it's just good. I mean, it's just really good.
This is his 3rd album.
Right.
So
this is okay. I got you.
No. So this is String Play.
Oh yeah.
Hip Hop Fury.
Yep.
It had like Master Killa.
Yeah.
It had Crash Your Crew.
Nice.
So it didn't have Shadow Boxing.
Yeah, that was the earlier.
Yeah, that was the earlier one.
My brain always goes
Yeah,
there every
I
time
know.
I see that letter
That
G.
logo. Yeah. But no, this was because I was gonna say this was in the midst of why I like this album, because a lot of the production was done by GZA.
Right.
But it was a lot of like where we're now fluttering into all the wings of the Wu-Tang, right? You know what I mean? All the other members.
The other 36 chambers.
The other 3,600 chambers of Wu-Tang. But like Mike Tripp and stuff like that. So it was, it was...
I'll say this for him. It was a tough year for GZA to come out in 99 with all the stuff that was coming out around it. And I feel like, and I kind of get why this happens. And I've been kind of joking about the Squiggy thing, but there is a whole section of people who like hip hop who just don't get Wu-Tang.
Right.
They don't speak that. The mathematics thing, the personal side of things maybe has an effect on it. For me, hip hop is a couple different things, and certainly for me, it was the beat, which spoke to me first.
Yep.
And then as I grew up in hip hop, it was like, okay, this production is dope, but these lyrics are kind of soft. And then I'd go, wow, this production is shitty, but God, this guy can really spit. Or it's just missing that one piece.
Yeah.
And GZA had all that.
Yeah.
He could rhyme. He was talking about cool shit. But unfortunately, it falls into that section of, if you're not listening, it's almost like Doom. Right. I guarantee you, if you polled people from the age of 18 to 41 and you said, men and women, how many of you have ever even heard of the GZA? What percentage of women are going to go, oh yeah, GZA's the shit? I love that. It's just not going to happen. So there's that whole aspect. And then there's an aspect like the Squiggy factor. He was exposed to it, just didn't speak to him. Right. And I get that. It spoke to me. It didn't speak to me as loudly as the Ruckus stuff was speaking to me. Because it was funky. Right. And for me, while I don't need it to be, you spoke Midwest. I don't necessarily want it to be Nelly. No disrespect to what they were doing. I definitely liked that shit when it was playing in the club. It was fun. Yeah. And when you're at that age and you're in those clubs, one of the things you're there for is to look at pretty ladies. So they were dancing, the hot shit, and I'd be like, yay, all right. We'll take a break from, the roots so that I can see this as well. But it's just tough, and there's a huge fan base for that. We've actually had a lot of the members of Wu-Tang come to Jacksonville. I know Ghostface has been here, Master Killa, Redman and Method Man have been here a couple times. I've actually seen them here twice. I saw them on Rock the Bells. What was the one Jay-Z did around that time that came out? They actually did a really great performance. They did How High, and I know we're going to talk about that. I'm kind of segueing away from it, but they did How High, and they had this whole video package where it was like the intro for them, and they were like backstage, and they were smoking a blunt, and then law enforcement caught them, and they were like, "We're going to get arrested. We got to get out of here," and they were running, and then the lights come on, and they were on harnesses, and they ran over the crowd, and that was at a time where that harness shit definitely wasn't happening in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like Cirque du Soleil didn't exist. And it was funny because they did it here in Jacksonville, and Redman was wearing classic Timberlands, and when he went down in the harness, one of the brothers in the audience pulled one of his boots off, and like his boot was going around, and you could just tell he was furious, like, give me my fucking shoe back. But he kept performing, and they did their shit. It was dope. I saw them twice. Saw them at UNF, and I saw them at the Coliseum. I'm trying to remember what that tour was. It was a big one. It was like Jay.
It wasn't the Up and Smoke tour.
No, that was Dre and M and all them. God, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was around 2000, I would imagine. It was Jay. It had Ja Rule. It had Red and Meth. It had like all those guys that were kind of associated with Rockefeller.
Wasn't it the How High tour or something?
No, actually, it's funny you say that. The other one was the How High tour, and we went Eminem with Outsiders. Outsiders actually opened. That's right. For Red and Meth when they performed here at UNF, which was another amazing show. And a friend of mine, and I know I'm going off track here, but the story's pretty cool. A friend of mine, so that show had sold out. The UNF show had sold out for Redman and Meth, and I was like, fuck, I really wanted to get a ticket. So a friend of mine, this lady was working for Folio Weekly, and she was doing like articles for the Florida Times Union. They get picked up occasionally. Right. And I said, yo, why don't you call UNF and say you're writing an article? This is 18 years old or 19, whatever it is, right? And get a media pass. Yeah. She was like, there's no way they'll do that. I go, what is the worst case scenario? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a band laminate from any concert you've ever been to, the odds are if you try to get into a show with that and you look the part and you don't look nervous as shit,
Confidence.
nobody's paying. Confidence does a lot, right? You can walk through the thing.
Yeah.
But I asked her to do it a legitimate way, and she was like, well, all right, I'll try. She calls me back an hour later. She's like, they gave me 3 passes.
Yeah.
I was like, so when are we going to see Redman and Method Man? And we did, and it was a dope show. It was really dope, and she got to interview them, and and it actually made it to the newspaper.
That's awesome.
So it worked out really well, and the whole, it wasn't a malicious intent. I wanted to see the show, which is a positive thing, but my lazy ass didn't buy a ticket, and she had access, so why not go? And she won. You know what I mean? It was a great article. So
It's awesome.
yeah, I go left field, man.
That's okay. No, it's okay. You just go in the future because September 28th was when that album dropped. And that was the next one. So
Look
there
at
you go.
that.
Blackout.
I segued right there. So the Rockweiler, as a producer and as a beat, Rockweiler for me, because it is so short. Like it is just, I think it's like 2 minutes and 12 seconds or 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. And the video's even fun. They're like doing this little locomotion shit. And bro, that was just one of those songs. Bump, 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 bump. It comes in. And anytime I would drop that when I was DJing, there'd just be a whole bunch of people who dug that shit that would all of a sudden, it would just change their whole energy. They could be in the shittiest mood ever. And then you see these grown men doing this little fucking shuffle dance and just watch. But it's so good.
Yeah.
And their chemistry, it just was bound to happen, right? Redman, not a member of Wu-Tang Clan, but certainly an affiliate, I would say, of Wu-Tang with respect to what he's done with Meth. They were on 2 different pages. You know what I'm saying? Like I was listening to Redman before I was listening to Wu-Tang. Right. So it was just different. But for them to come together and how they play off each other, because their tone, their cadence, and even delivery from a standpoint of what they're talking about a little bit is different.
Right.
And Meth has this, real deep, powerful, probably one of the most recognizable voices in hip hop.
Right.
For me, Red is similar. Like if you play a Redman song in the distance, I can normally go, oh shit, Redman.
Right. Yeah.
Great album though. What were your thoughts? Bro, if you don't shut me off, I'll keep going.
It's what we're here, right?
I know.
I think the funny part to me was like initially I think it was called America's Most Blunted, and they had to change the name.
They changed it
because it had to get commercial, right? Because they saw the potential with that.
Right.
But no, I would just agree with that. I think it was a great combination of 2 dudes that just their chemistry was fantastic. You would have thought they were brothers,
right?
Just the way that they moved and the way that they thought, and what they were into musically, but also just like the kind of the jokester side of the stuff that they were
doing.
Funny
shit.
Exactly. They were just, it was just a great album and a lot of fun, and it changed the sound of hip hop a little bit.
Right. It did.
Just because of the producers that were on those albums and how like it was so that sound was so different than Wu-Tang.
Right.
And then so different from like Redman, Muddy Waters, There's a Dark Side, like that Eric Sermon style of production. Yeah. Because that's where Redman kind of came from,
right.
So I just enjoyed that it was the 2 of them, and it was really funky, and it was moving, and it was down the path more in my thoughts of like kind of the Busta Rhymes movement.
Yeah.
Right.
That energy.
Right. And they played it perfectly. So,
and it's interesting you say that. For my dollar, one of the best performances I've ever seen was Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Live hip hop is tough. Nowadays, you'll have live hip hop. Like the Roots, obviously, have been a band the whole time, but now you'll have live hip hop, and they'll throw a band behind it, which they do that for a couple reasons. One, sonically, it sounds better. Coming from a band, at least for my money. I love hip hop instrumentals all day long, but one of the things that I think can be off-putting or strange for the audience member and even for the fucking performer, and why a lot of MCs fall flat when they perform the dopest record that you heard on wax live, it doesn't come off that way, is because that energy is hard to transfer. That sound that you listen to the stage is difficult for a band to do. Right. And that's why only the best get to the top, right? With hip hop, it's one guy and then a DJ who is likely not the guy who produced this record. But also wants to get his shine and lay some cuts, right? Which is cool, but you're just looking at one person. And then you have the hype man. And the hype man plays a very, very significant role in hip hop. From the beginning, the hype man is important. You can think Flava Flav. You can think, any litany list of but Busta Rhymes, although he had a great Spliff Star, was a great hype man. Bar none, probably one of the best hype man. And if you're playing a game of who's the best hype man, he's probably in the top 3, right? But Bust came out, and now he's a big dude. So people who see him now, he's a big dude. But he was rail thin.
Oh, rail thin.
He was wearing Averex bubble jacket.
Yeah.
And the jacket was like 3 times the size of his torso.
Yeah.
And he came out, and he just killed it.
Yeah.
You know, and when he came in, we were talking Tribe the last time we were here. When he comes in on that, while people had heard Leaders of the News, but I mean, every DJ knows that if you're having a shitty moment,
drop some Busta Rhymes.
drop scenario or any woo-ha. You know what I'm saying?
Throw your hands where my eyes can see.
Absolutely, any
boom,
of that.
boom.
Any of that. Even the Janet Jackson jam was dope.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I played that. That was a good transition record as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
Busta for my dollar, as I said before, performance-wise, if you're just gonna watch one person bouncing around a stage, you know, granted there was no split star at the time, but shout out again to if you're ever playing that game of who's your favorite hype man. You know, answer A, split star. No, I'm sorry, it was Flava Flav. Question 2. No, I'm sorry, sir, it was not Flava Flav, it was split star. And there's been great hype men other than that, but a lot of time the hype man is actually also a dope MC.
Absolutely.
You know, look at Eminem. You know, Royce the 5'9" and Proof were both hype men for him. Yeah. And I mean, they stand alone.
FYI, number 2 on Exhibit's list of best MCs.
Yeah.
Only behind the DLC, Royce the 5'9".
Royce the 5'9"?
Royce the 5'9".
Yeah, and he's dope.
Yeah, he's sick.
Prime came out, and I was like, bruh. Slaughterhouse is dope. I mean, those guys can ride. I'm not a big Budden fan, and he's like the crotchiest dude. So if somehow he magically listens to this, I know, you know, random dude from Jacksonville, Florida said you're not his favorite. Whatever. Yeah, it is. So what?
And cried his 2 big dogs.
Right. Yeah. Come and take the $56 in my checking account. It's a little bit more than $56. Like $72.
Just enough to buy 4 more albums next week, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So October 12th, Mos Def, Black on Both Sides, the debut album of Mos Def on Rawkus Records.
How big of a Mos Def fan were you? Because I was a big Mos Def fan.
Huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
So
huge.
Black Star.
Yeah.
When Black Star came out, and I really wish there had been more Black Star albums, and they've collaborated since then, but pardon me, no other like album. But for his solo album, his debut solo album, for me, that's his best album. Other people like what he's done since then. You know, that one for me, start to finish, Miss Fat Booty.
Dude, I was listening to
Umi Says.
I was listening to Best Fat Booty at the gym this morning. Like that's how much I have that on rotation.
I mean, just the whole album. The production was dope. Yeah. For me, another thing, I started to actually pay more attention to not just the production from a standpoint of what the beat sounded like, but actually the production factor. You know, and I think I spoke before about the Chronic sonically just upping the game. You could tell when you were listening to independent hip hop because it didn't sound as clean.
Right.
But to some respect, that's good.
Yep.
You know, you wanted that grimy feeling, but then there were points where it was like, oh, come on, man, like. Turn that up a little bit.
Come on, you know better.
You know better. Like, you know, we were talking before. You got a shitty, you know, recording because the equipment. And a lot of times, even now, with the best equipment in the world, people, you know, you can't polish a turd. Right. And I think you've probably heard that before. You know, right? Exactly, right? My father said, you know, you can polish a turd or cover it in gold. It's still just shit, right? And that's not his saying. Like, that's been around forever, right? So you can't take something that sounds. So there were some production flaws certainly in this time frame of hip hop. But for me, this album start to finish I could listen to. And I knew every word. And it was different because he was introducing something that I think is done now but differently, which is this multiple hip hop thing, this neo soul hip hop vibe, which was definitely prominent with Jill Scott, and Erykah Badu, and the Roots and all these guys. But because most can sing a little bit, and I'm sure he wouldn't say he's the best singer in the world. You know, he's no John Legend or you know, these guys that can, you know, get up in the upper ranges and stuff like that. But Umi Says is just such a powerful record, and a lot of people sing that song and don't know what he's saying. Right. You know what I mean? And if you actually look into that and see what the brother's talking about, those are powerful songs. And again, Miss Fat Booty also.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Everybody's had a scenario similar to that. You know what I mean? Maybe not the exact scenario. You know, but you know, I know at least for me, there'd be times where I'd meet a female who I had already met once. Right. You know, and it would be like, you know, a hip hop event, or we'd be doing like some party or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, let me introduce you to my friend." And in my mind, I'm thinking like, "Girl, I met met you.
I met you.
Yeah, you were the one that acted all shitty the last
Right,
time we saw each other.
exactly.
Why do you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
What door? What key do you think I hold to what door?
Yeah.
You know, but vice versa. When you're young, you do stupid shit like that. But
Yeah.
go, if you have not listened to Miss Fat Booty, Umi Says, Mathematics, I mean, any of the songs on that album, it's just a standout album, and it may be one of the best Ruckus records. You know,
Yeah.
one of the full albums to come out on Ruckus. And this is at the tail end of Ruckus, unfortunately. This
Yes,
is
it
because
is.
we're in October, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, I would assume Pharaoh's coming up. Yeah.
Up next.
Yeah.
1 week later.
1 week later. Good
1
job,
week
Ruckus.
later.
Spread that out. Spread that out.
Pharaoh, Internal Affairs, October 19th, solo debut album from former Organized Confusion member.
That's right. That's right. So again, I've said it before. When I listen to hip hop, I listen to it for a multitude of reasons. I've said this a million times. I told him to his face a few years ago at the A3C festival, and you know, it's one of those moments where you know, I just said, fuck it, I'm a fanboy for a minute.
Right.
And he was in the hallway. I just had a conversation with Gene Gray, who's absolutely dope as well. And A3C Festival up in Atlanta, shout to Brian and those guys. They've been doing it for 11, 12 years. I've been to all of them. Unfortunately, this is the first year I will not get to attend that. I'm actually going to be somewhere else on work. But so I'm at the A3C Festival. I'm talking to Jean Gray. She had just done this really great speaking engagement where she spoke for about an hour, and it was an awesome lecture. It was a whole panel. And then I'm out in the hallway, and I was talking to her, and I turned, and the brother's standing like right next to her. He had been standing there while her and I were talking. And, you know, I had that moment of, you know, if you're going to fanboy for the guy you think you're the best. So I was like,
Right.
yo, man, I know you've heard this a billion times, but you're like, when people go top 5 lists, I mean, just for a multitude of reasons, you're always the first name. You may not be the best in the universe, brother, but you're always the first name that comes out of my mouth.
Right.
And it's for a multitude of reasons. One, nobody raps like him.
Right.
Nobody raps like him at all. And I'm a big fan. So you listen to a lot of MCs and you'll hear the same exact delivery style, right? And that's just their thing, and they're good at it, and they find that lane, and they do it for their entire career.
Right.
When you listen, for me at least, when I listen to an MC, because I'm one of those guys, I came from a freestyle generation, and I'm the first to admit my written is not nearly as good as when I freestyle, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, I guess. I just have a lot of fun with it. I'm really good off the top. I'm very witty. So for me, if you can't rap to any beat, and what used to drive me absolutely crazy is because we used to do an open mic, and somebody would go, yo, put on a different beat. Or man, I can't rhyme to that. That's too fast. Or I can't rhyme to that. That's too slow. Well, then don't pick up the fucking microphone.
Don't rhyme.
This isn't a hey you showcase. This is we got some beats. We're gonna open up this mic.
Yep.
When you grab the mic, just be ready to rap.
Yeah.
So from that respect, when I see somebody who can write and their cadence doesn't live inside this cube, or if it does, it lives in there, but it's bouncing around all over the place.
Right.
And this brother can go from one pattern to a completely different pattern inside of a pattern.
Right.
And I mean, just the way he flips, and the best way to describe the way he flips his tongue, like when he's rapping, is just different than anybody.
Right.
So when this album came out, certainly Simon Says, as far as hits go for Ruckus, I would imagine this is probably their number one selling single.
It would have. I mean, it was like a top 100.
Yeah. So I mean, and it really, and the reason you find out later that we know that is because they actually got a cease and desist.
Right.
And then Ruckus was in a whole ton of trouble for not, getting sample clearance.
Yep.
And that was a huge song.
Yeah.
But I've always said to artists, it's funny about this. So I've always said to artists, and this is bad advice, by the way, so don't listen to me, artists, but if you're making music, make music for like inside of your vibe, do your thing. And when you're at the independent level, like where you're just starting out, make whatever you want.
Right.
You don't have to.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, right? They're not coming. But if you happen to have that viral moment and all of a sudden make sure the one you're selling isn't one that you should have gotten fucking sample clearance on.
Exactly.
Because they will cease and desist.
Sure.
And, Asimov actually had a cease and desist and had to change. They actually became, they became the ABs.
I did not know that.
Isaac Asimov's estate. Yeah. So that's a thing. Like, and nobody thought that.
Right, of course.
But until you get beyond the fray of all the other shit that's out. And by the way, today is not 1999.
No.
It's 2017, almost 2018.
Yep.
There is a unbelievable amount of consumable music out there.
Absolutely.
SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, I mean, any social channel.
Yep.
There's probably 100 different hip hop blogs, podcasts, things, like
Yep.
where they're pushing local music and so on and so forth. So make it for you. Make
Absolutely.
it for you.
Well, here, I want to show you since you are our first and only sponsored model for Rhyme Designs.
Ah, my man. You got a Pharaoh shirt?
I got something.
You got a Simon Says?
Okay, don't worry.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so when does that come out?
Well, it's gonna come out for you.
Oh,
Okay, before it hits the public.
my man.
All right, you'll get this shirt before it goes anywhere else.
My man.
Okay.
My man. And I rock them all the time.
You
You've
rock
seen
them
it.
all the time, my friend.
So I'm going to Los Angeles in October. So I will wear your El Segundo shirt
Oof.
in El Segundo.
Oh, okay. Well, in October,
Yeah.
it gives me time because I'm also going to make sure that I send you the,
Oh, the other design.
the other design,
Yeah.
as well. We got a couple of them in the hopper right now.
right.
We're on pause for a second, getting a couple things cleared.
Okay,
But,
I'll
it'll
tell
be
you
there,
what,
so,
man.
yeah.
Every time I obviously wore the El Segundo shirt, and that had a bunch of people like going, "Oh shit!" And, like
Yeah.
people that are in my social circle that I didn't even know liked hip hop.
Yeah.
So like even people I work with, and I was like, "Oh shit, what do you know about Tribe?" And my man was like, "Yo, son, blah blah blah," blah. And like changed the whole dialogue concentration. And but everybody dug that, and then I wore the Wu-Tang one,
Yeah.
Ice Cream, right?
Yeah.
And people were like. They were looking at it, and then they finally get it. They're looking at it, French vanilla butter pecan. Oh, yeah. Like that moment happens where I'm like, motherfuckers, ice cream. You know?
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah,
dude. No, it's
great.
fantastic.
Absolutely great.
So yeah, so if anybody's looking to get shirts, use code Kool Lade,
Oh, sweet.
KOOLLADE on Rhyme Designs, Rhyme Designs store.com. I can remember just so many
that
websites.
your own website?
Yeah,
You know everybody
rhymedesignstore.com,
else's.
right? Everybody else's.
Art Kyle Willis.
Yep, go check them out and use code Kool Aid. Save some money, some
Thank
good
you.
money on the shirts.
That's
yeah,
awesome,
absolutely.
man.
And we're gonna make sure we pay it
Simon
forward.
Says.
So I got you. I got a
Make sure
couple-
you got sample clearance though.
Oh no, I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Sample clearance on the
Sample clearance on
clearance.
sample clearance. Yep. So okay, and then final album. Here we are.
Here we are.
Last one, which
Last one.
I think it makes sense. November 16th, 1999. Dr. Dre, 2001.
Yeah. So what's great about this is obviously, as I said before, when M came out, I think Dre knew.
Yeah.
Based on, I think Dre knows when he strikes lightning. I think when he gets into the studio with Snoop and the Chronic is being created, he even talked about in Defiant Ones, they kind of shifted the energy of his solo album, his solo debut, because he just knew.
Yeah.
And again, for 1993 and going forward, that's an incredible album. So fast forward, he leaves, NWA falls apart, does his own thing with Suge. They have Death Row, extremely successful. Pac comes out of jail, they do the stuff with him, extremely successful. Snoop is just flying off the shelf. First solo album is epic. Obviously, we talked about that. And then you fast forward and he does a couple of these albums where I like the production, like The Firm I thought was dope.
Right.
Great concept. AZ,
phone
Nas,
that
phone taps
beat?
are great.
Come on. Yeah.
Bro, it is so funny. I was running a studio shortly after that, and it was right when Pro Tools released their first home, the DigiDesign Digi001.
The
The 001. So
Yep.
this is the first foray, into home studio. And I had bought this thing, and one out of like 15 rappers that would come in is be like, "Yo, man, you got that phone thing?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "What?" And they'd be like, so it sounds like, they're tapping my phone. So like phone tap became this thing. So while for guys like you and I who love this shit, that's an amazing song and the production was dope. Commercially, it wasn't successful.
Right.
And in that bubble,
Yep.
if you're not continuing to be commercially successful, you have to find something different. So he strikes lightning again.
Yeah.
Or he creates lightning as well.
Yeah.
Because
The right combination.
you got to have the right combination. Because I think from everything we said before, or at least what I was speaking to when you talk about the 500-pound Caucasian gorilla, before Eminem, guys like you and I, we were talking LP. I mean, you could think back to Third Base, and, all this. But commercially successful, you had Vanilla Ice. Right. So that had left such a stain. For whatever reason, it left a stain on hip hop. And anybody who's over the age of 35, you're fronting if you didn't like Ice Ice Baby.
Everybody did.
Everybody did. And everybody
Nobody knew
knows
what he
it.
looked like until they saw him.
You know how I know everybody loves that song and how much of a success it was, right? Is karaoke night, there'll always be somebody like my girl likes to go karaoke. She's an amazing singer.
Yeah.
And there'll always be somebody who will do that.
Yeah,
and that person will be going around the bar and they'll hand the mic to other people and everybody knows it.
Don, you listen to Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah.
I own it.
Yeah, see? Yeah. He said, for my $1, play that funky music, White Boy is a much better jam, right?
Yes.
So, but going back to that, so you had Vanilla Ice, which was commercially successful around the same time as MC Hammer and these things, and everybody listened to that shit too. And then you fast forward and you get this guy, and there was this moment where people go, is this going to be another appropriation moment where once you listen to M and then you hear M talk, that's just who he is. Right. So that goes out the window. You have to respect it for what it is. And frankly, fuck off about the Vanilla Ice thing at this point. You know what I mean? If people shit on it, but I guarantee you, even the hardest hip hop heads, I mean, because the beat is just dope to Ice Ice Baby. Of course. Right? It's a great sample.
It's a great sample.
Right. And then there's obviously the tie to Dre with the Suge Knight thing. And they basically took that from him.
Yeah.
And he's admitted that's a true story. They hung that brother over a balcony. It doesn't get much more death row than that, right?
Yep.
So when you see, so anyways, fast forward, you got Dre. We've waited since Chronic.
Yep. It's almost like 10 years.
It's almost 10 years, right?
Yep.
So, and we've waited, and then this album comes out, and you and I were talking about Exhibit. Shout out to Exhibit, and he's on there.
Yeah.
It's Snoop and Dre patching up whatever was broken because of the death row thing, which probably wasn't anything between them.
No.
It was just business.
Yep.
And you hear these songs.
Yeah.
And you get to hear Nate Dogg again.
Yep.
And these guys are now better.
Yeah.
You know, where that music originally was incredible for us, 93, you know, the Chronic, that whole album start to finish, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Doggy Style, even the Dog Father was dope.
Yep.
Dog Pound, their first album was dope. Who was
Warren G and the
Warren G,
Dove Shack.
Dove Shack.
Yeah, come on, man.
I fucking love Dove Shack. That show's great. Yeah. Summertime in the LBC. So fun, man. So fun. So now we get to the 2001, right? So it comes out and it's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Literally.
It's great. It's great. I mean, there are still songs to this day that if you play them, doesn't matter the audience, they still will get the audience's attention.
I saw a viral video like last year, 2 years ago with the guy in the lobby playing piano.
Yeah.
Playing Still Dre.
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't that great?
Yeah, people are just like, this is amazing.
Right.
But no, I think it was right. I think it was like, I think he recognized what was going on with Eminem.
Right.
Then you bring in Royce.
Right.
Because Royce did a ton of ghostwriting on this album.
Right.
A ton of it.
Right,
He got
right.
credited for like one song to begin with.
Right.
But he did a lot of
ghostwriting.
Then DOC did some writing on
Right,
this
right,
album.
right.
Like he literally was
Right.
like, all right, we got something here. Eminem literally skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bringing the band back.
Yeah, let's do
and
it.
I'm bringing all this, like, if
Let's
we're
bring
just
it
going to
all.
literally make this thing. And I mean, the thing I loved about this album is that it was like Doggy Style, where it was like, there was this app that came out in the phone like 4 years ago where it was like a guess what song app. And you could do different genres.
That's in the same bucket as the Hype Man app, right?
Yeah,
Best Hype Man.
Yeah. But it was like, but you could like you play the song and like you could hear it and then you have to click what song it is.
Oh, okay.
Right, within seconds.
Yeah.
You can play against your friends.
Right.
It wasn't fair if it was a hip hop.
Right.
Like my
Yeah,
friends, nobody. Like I had to go into rock and even make it close.
Right. I love it.
But I remember this album, like the first 2 seconds of
Right.
every single song. You know what the song is,
Right.
Like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's all it
Yeah.
took was
For
just
sure.
that quick little
There's
second.
There's
you know
no
what song
doubt.
it is.
There's no doubt that Dre has a sound.
Yeah.
And there's been questions, over the years of how much production was he doing, what was he doing. So there's different levels to production.
Sure.
Right. There may be a guy like a Scott Storch, who's an amazing producer
brought
on his
him in
own,
for
right?
this.
He brought him in for this,
Mailman
right?
came in for this. Yep.
But that makes a great producer.
Absolutely.
Right.
He knew.
So there's a lot of things that people say are cliche or don't do that or don't do this or don't listen. If it comes out and it sounds amazing,
Yes.
give it credit for what it is.
Absolutely.
How you got there is a testament to how you got there as well.
Yeah.
So like whether it's Scott Storch playing the melody or Dre's, because it's his vision.
Right.
Right. And you even see in the Defiant Ones him talking about not using a booth anymore with MCs because he wants to be in there with them, feeling the energy. And the technology's got to a place now where you can do that.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we sound pretty good. We sound, better, unfortunately, than that recorder by a company who we won't mention. But we don't give them
Like
a-
Exhibit interview.
Yeah.
Still-
That's all right.
still salty.
We'll recreate it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll recreate
We'll do
it.
it.
I'll play Exhibit.
But yeah, no, it was just, I mean, just a classic. I remember when it came out, how big of a deal it was. Everybody was so excited for it, and it was one of those albums that like not only lived up to the hype, but then like exceeded the hype.
Yeah.
You know, with the
Commercially
songs.
successful, viability, sounded good. It was just dope.
Yep.
And some of those, like, so again, coming off the fact that Eminem had become this instant sensation almost. Like, it went from overnight. Like, I knew who he was. I listened to some of his songs. I definitely was impressed. There were other guys that were in that same lane who I thought were as good, if not better in some cases, like a Cage. I don't know if you remember Cage.
Oh, yeah.
And there was some beef there between those guys, I guess, whatever. But Eminem catapulted to this place, and I think that it was perfect timing, right? And I think when they got in, you're absolutely right. Dre said, we've got something here that can bring all of us back together, and we can use this catapult of success to really spread it. And since then, people have wanted Dre to put out another album.
Absolutely.
You know, and he put out Compton last year, which wasn't, you know, that's all right. It's all right.
Mixtape.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
something to throw out there. He did it because of the movie and whatnot, and that's a good energy. But I don't think Dre's done. You know,
he still owes us a detox for real.
He does, and I don't care if it's called Detox. You know, they say him and Em are back in the studio working on stuff, which is great. You know, at this point for me, when we talk about 1999, and I keep looking at this helmet, and I keep thinking about all these different records that are on here, that was another album for me as somebody who liked to rhyme. They released that as an instrumental version as well, publicly.
Yep.
That was one, because at that point Dre had solidified himself as this beat guy. You know, in the same class as a DJ Premier or these other, right? Being West Coast guy, he definitely had that funkadelic style. So I remember having this instrumental, and those instrumentals being replacing that purple tape.
Absolutely.
Because now we had moved to CDs or whatever. But these definitely were in heavy rotation in a lot of ciphers I was in. And so were, by the way, all of these songs that we talked about on all these albums, any of those A cuts where there was an instrumental, that instrumental was being played in those ciphers as well.
Absolutely. So. Without question. Cool, man. Well, hey, so a couple things we gotta mop up here now that we're at the end of the show. Number one, I have the Kyle Willis art comic book cover for you right here.
Let me see it.
So I'm gonna hand it to you. Okay. And then afterward, though, so many people wanted to hear you spit,
I'll rap.
So we're gonna spit a little bit.
I'll rap a little bit.
Here we go.
I'm gonna need to get some more water.
Yep, we got you. 1999.
Oh, look at that! I love it. That is so dope.
So what we have here, right? So 1999, Futurama debuted, and Bender is, of course, Kyle Willis's favorite character from that show. So he decided to put him on the cover for 1999.
I love it.
With all the album covers there.
I love it.
And yeah, man, a lot of people are way into Futurama.
Oh yeah, for sure. But dude, just seeing these covers again. Yeah. So I need to take a 2-minute break. Yep. Because this water just flew through me.
We're
and I know your audience wants to know water. This part of the show sponsored by water, flowing right through me.
Lots of water flowing right through you. We will take a break, and when we come back,
freestyle.
It's freestyle time.
Yeah, you can test the skills.
All right. Here we are, ready to go after many requests and many people texting me. I'm gonna tell you, dude, I got text messages.
He can't be that
I got
good.
emails. I got social media things of just people being like, all right, like they go like, Lozo, we know you only hang out with like real heads, right?
Listen to that.
So they're like, so clearly, like for him to make that statement and for you not to say anything, there must be some truth to this.
Yeah,
so
I can rap a
please,
little bit. We're gonna
please, we got to put him on the
Let me
mic.
get my glasses ready.
So,
I don't want to see those words yet.
No. So here's what we did. Okay. So being typical hip hop style.
Yep.
Okay. I got a beat here from J Mix, my boy, Beat Brigade. Shout out always. It's his Old Man Ohio beat on SoundCloud. So you can go check it out right now.
And that fits me too. I'm
like
an old man.
Yeah, right. Oh man, Ohio.
Oh boy.
And so what I did earlier before you got here was I literally, and Don can attest to this, I just started saying things to Don. I said, Don, what's your favorite car? Don, what's your favorite food? Don, what's your favorite this, favorite that? And we started having some conversations. We threw in some words that are relevant to today's day and age and what we do here.
All right.
But that's literally all it is. So Don here was just answering questions, not knowing what it was for.
I thought he was getting ready for a date with me.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. He was.
So we'll get this beat going here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the iPad.
Yep.
And I'm gonna let you spit a little bit, and I'll slide it over, and we'll start get going. But
so are the words listed in a row? How do you got it? Like on a
just one word,
notepad?
One word, and I tap it, and it's another new word.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me make sure my glasses are ready.
Yep. Make sure your glasses are ready.
Make sure I can see. All right. I'm good.
All right. Here it is. World premiere. First time we've ever done this on the show.
All right.
It's only cracking. All right.
Drum beat.
Yeah. J Mapes, Old Man Ohio.
Life with Lozo. Yeah. Turn me up just a little bit on the beat.
That Michigan hip hop.
That good?
Yeah. Keep it gay.
Yeah. Wonder what happened to rapping, I'm attacking the mic. I let you know that we be doing it, a serious hype. We on the life of Lozo, and tonight is a night. We gonna go 99 and we cooking at night. Jacksonville City, other place, Duval County. If you wanna try to do it, you could set up a bounty. I'm eating pizza in Pisa while I drop a verse. I never rehearse, put your ass right in the hearse. San Francisco, that was from an alien nation. My dissertation, I've been flown around the nation. I'm blazing saddles while I'm rocking off top, I'm blazing verses, saddles when I'm rocking a spot, never stopping. My Big Bang Theory is universal. Let you know I do it, I really just came to nurse the driving Lamborghini while I'm dropping off top. I drop a little bit of hip hop and we doing it rock. I don't like no regular soda, I'm only fuego. And if you like the way I'm spitting it, I'm letting it go. My man flipping these verses, I know I like Wu-Tang, but Squiggy never like that shit, so I will maintain. Keep it going off the top, drop a little bit of rhythm. The kill is how I do it when I kill when I'm in them. You know I'm rocking Yoda cause I'm Star Wars Blaze. You could try to get up on me, but I'm rocking this maze. Everlasting, ropping off top while you getting it. Whether verbal or written, never dodging competition. Rocking for my people back in 99. If you like the way we do it cause it's so divine. This be the life of Lozo and we chilling it now. I killed all 20 words so MCs bow down. We in that 99 sector almost 18 years. Someone get me a pack of cigarettes because I'm clear what? Woo! Yeah! 20 words up in the place.
Wow.
20 words. I'm just a nerd. Holy cow.
All right.
Wow.
So for those at home that
No
are listening to
kidding
this
around
shit
right
right
there.
now, right, Don? So I didn't say the words 'cause I didn't want to interrupt it all, but let me just tell you what the words were. Okay, it was Jacksonville, pizza, San Francisco, Blazing Saddles, Big Bang Theory, Lamborghini, Fago, Squiggy, The Keel, and Yoda. Okay. So now I want you to go back after you know these words.
Sure.
Go back and listen to this shit, and please realize that you would not even realize that he was actually reading the words as he was going.
So I'll even say this: if you want to do it again sometime, because it's fun and I like this game.
Yeah.
You know, no, it's a fun game because it keeps you. If you're a freestyle guy, it keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
It's also fun because it gives you like a context of something that you're going to want to talk about. So I can do that live with people and props, and that's another thing people do in hip hop. You know, Juice and Supernatural were known for this. Supernatural, one of the best freestylers in the game, period, bar none. And he used to open for Wu-Tang, and he would do this thing where he would say to the people in the front of the audience, pull shit out of your pockets.
Yeah.
And he would grab shit, show it to me. Like he'd grab shit out of the audience and he'd freestyle. So this game that you did, I had told you before, this 20 words thing, we did this at Hip Hop and Hookah like every third week or something. And it got to a point where they were like, all right, well, you 20 words. They said, do 40.
Yeah.
So they wrote 40 words. Now, 40 words is a lot of words,
Yeah.
right? So it takes a while. So I want to say it was like a 6-minute freestyle. And what I did is I did all of them forwards, and then I went backwards up the list. And so I'm rapping about something different going backwards. And they're like, God, bruh. And there's MCs who freestyle that are good at it. And as a freestyle MC, you know that you've hit a chord when somebody who you know is dope at freestyling, they make this fucking face where it's like, oh. They're like, how did you pull that shit out of your ass? Like, it's like magic, right? So the San Francisco thing was funny. I actually, instead of talking about the city, the movie Alien Nation, I said Alien Nation because his name was San Francisco. And James Caan hated it. He never wanted to call him Sam Francisco. S-A-M Francisco. So funny. Anyways, so that's fun, man.
Good job, man. Good job,
man. Well,
that's respect to 99.
That's it,
I
man.
was doing a cypher in 99 weekly with my man Kirby. Shout out to Kirby. He's up in Atlanta doing some photography and videography stuff. But yeah, Kirby and I would do this old wave night, and it was disco. We were out back, and we would do disco until like 11, and then from 11 to close, it was hip hop. And we did exactly what you described. You know, we went that whole spectrum of, you know, approachable shit, so people would like kind of come in and be comfortable. And you go into the good shit that you loved, and then we did a weekly cypher. the address of the bar was 618 West Forsyth Street, and it used to be called Paradome, and then it changed to the Club 618 and later Cartouche. And we did 1218 at 618. And it was this approachable place. We never had a single act of violence. MCs would show up, and it started to get like statewide. Like people would be like, if you want to rap and you're looking for that, like this is a place where you can do this any Monday night. And people were actually coming in from out of town, Gainesville, Tallahassee, as far as like South Florida. And bro, there was some crucial like. Oh, I bet. We allowed battling, but it had to be respectful. Right. So like, if just in a cipher, if somebody wanted to pop off, just know you're in an arsenal. Like the arsenal here is fierce. Right. People don't really think Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County, but as a melting pot, and Squiggy and I talked about this before. You know it. Because of the military. It brings so many different areas of the country. Like you're from Detroit. My parents are both from Massachusetts. You know, New Jersey, Chicago, right? So like transplant, right? So there's just such a rich amount of that. So there was so many different styles. And we talked about a lot of those styles, man. But one more thing, man, with Pharoah Monch. Step up your game, hip hop. And you know, we talked to Eminem, and this is why I want to bring this point up, and I forgot to mention it. We talked about people he's given respect to, and certainly he spoke to Rakim. He says in Rap God, the song Rap God, where Eminem shows, again, I can do all of these different styles. And there's a lot of like deep, too much in their head thinkers that are like, it's not that great. Bullshit. It's a great song. And it's great because of how he does it. He actually talks about, he says Pharoah Monch. He says, I'm on my Pharoah Monch grind. Exactly. And he shoots that out there. So when a guy who you as a listener is saying this is one of his dopest, go and listen. Oh, absolutely. And for those of you that are doubting it, go to fucking Spotify, go to anything, go to YouTube, and just look up a few Pharoah Monch songs, and I guarantee you. As a matter of fact, listen to any of the things we talked about.
It was funny too. I saw an interview recently, again on social media, where M talked about Tretch.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And like how that changed his life. Right. And he almost like thought about like quitting. Right. Like I can't do that. Right. Like, he's that damn good. Right. Right. He's talked about Redman. Like he's talked about these artists.
Recently he talked about 50 Cent.
Absolutely.
And you know, interestingly, 50 Cent had gone through some of the shit he had gone with label wise. He put out a really beast mode like diss track. Yeah. And M heard it and was like, ooh, like
you give me your money, you put your hot dog down.
Right, right. It was good. And it's a completely,
Timberland and Missy Elliott?
It's a completely different 50 than you hear now.
Yeah. People don't know that 50.
They don't know that, but M did. Yeah, and that's why 50 became what it is. And, you know, like it or not. So for me, you know, and I know we joke about Squiggy with the Wu-Tang thing. Yeah. For me, every bit of this culture and this music has a place. Yeah. So even some of the shit that's out there now, which a lot of people call mumble rap, I still like that production. Yeah. You know, a lot of this trap music production and that double time or you know.
But so here's the thing about the trap music. So like this was what we used to call hip trap or trip hop. Right. Trip hop, and it was before even drum and bass. Right. Like that was the same type of thing. Right. It was like that double up type of patterns and the combination of different things, and this is before EDM and all that. We had Detroit techno, we had booty tech, we like and it was okay.
Yeah, even that Miami sound was very, dance heavy with Luke and Two Live Crew and Quad City DJs, 69 Boys, 95 South. So like today, I hear some of that, and I have some of the same complaints that anybody over the age of 40 is going to have, right? Sure. You know, I sound like my dad, when I was listening to hip hop in '93, and he was going, "What the fuck are they saying? Like, what does that mean?" Now I'm doing the same thing, with kids, and it's just different. But I still have such an admiration and respect for it. And by the way, if you had thrown on a trap beat, I would have rapped, on the trap beat.
It doesn't matter
because again, going back to what I said, for me, if you're a guy who's going to go into a cipher, and I've never been claimed to be anything but a guy who likes to freestyle, and I do it and it's fun. But if you're going to be that guy, you should, whatever record they put on, you should be able to rap to it. Absolutely. And even if it's like slow jazz, like find it. Find it. Take that second, get in that zone and do it. So, if your audience members liked it, if they thought it was fun and they want to submit their own 20 words for you, direct message you and give you a list of 20 words. We'll do it again because people have tried to throw me off. And don't be asinine. No. Don't supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's just sucker play. No, I can do it.
Sure.
But don't play yourself.
Right. Yeah, you played yourself.
You played yourself. Right. So
cool, man.
Thank you, brother.
Once again, another fantastic hip hop episode. We went long, but I don't give a shit because it's what we do here, bro.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Kool Lade in the building. We are out of here. Life of Lozo. Deuces.
That
The Life of Lozo podcast is brought to you by Stay Tuned Studios, SDS Podcast, The Taylor Shop Inc., 03 Productions, The Beat Brigade, Rhyme Designs Clothing, Ronz World Guitars, The Music Experience, Custom Shirts and More, Local Goods Market, The Art of Kyle Willis, The Josh Saman MMA Foundation, TheMishmash.com, and of course, Jack's Nutrition. Talk to you next time. Peace.